Yo, in this video we're going to be going over a money method that will make you over $1.1 million in GTA Online. So the money method we're going over in this video actually consists of two different parts, the first dose missions as well as the last dose missions. When you complete these missions for the very first time, you're going to get some pretty good bonuses after completing each one that definitely makes it worth your time. And these are great for beginners starting out in GTA Online because you don't need to own any businesses or properties to get started with them. What you are going to need in order to start these missions up though is some ammo, body armor, and snacks. So just make sure you run down to ammunition to get some ammo and body armor if you don't have any, as well as some snacks from a nearby liquor store. The reason why I'm emphasizing doing so before is because these missions have a lot of combat in them, and the last thing you want is to die right away because you weren't prepared. You're welcome. So how do we get started with these first dose and last dose missions? Well, you should have already gotten a call from Ron shortly after loading into a lobby. If he hasn't called yet, give it like 5 or so minutes and he will. But once he does, you're going to want to go ahead and head over to this R on your map and then just walk towards the yellow area in front of the Ace liquor store to get started. This is going to begin the first of 6 first dose missions that you'll have to complete, and the first one is probably the easiest one that you'll do, so don't even stress about it. After completing this one, you're going to be able to start the remaining 5 missions over at this D on your map by the free shop. Same thing as before, just walk into this yellow area and press right on your D-pad to start up a mission. Now, like I said before, these missions do have plenty of combat, but they're not incredibly difficult. You just really want to make sure that you're taking cover when there's a whole swarm of enemies, especially if you're not too experienced with the game yet. And like I said before, do not forget to stock up on snacks and body armor. You're also going to want to make sure you stock up on explosives. There's going to be some missions like the third first dose mission, for example, where you need to destroy some vehicles, so I definitely stock up on those beforehand. My go-to is normally sticky bombs, but you unlock those at level 19 and grenades at level 15. So an alternative for anyone lower than level 15 are pipe bombs, as you can get them right at level 1. One last tip I'll mention is to get an armored vehicle, as it's going to keep you protected and help you die a whole lot less. You can get the Duke of Death completely for free over on Warstock, and it'll do a pretty decent job for a free vehicle. If you're a little more invested into the game, I'd highly recommend picking up the armored Kuruma over on Southern San Andreas, as this thing is an absolute beast against NPCs. Even at level 370 on my main account at the time of making this video, I still use this thing a majority of the time when going up against NPCs and missions. Now, as for the money you'll be making, these missions themselves aren't going to make you that much at first. In fact, the initial payoff from these missions is pretty ass. After completing each one, you'll make anywhere from about $10,000 to $20,000, which sounds terrible at first, but it ended up adding up to $82,780, which still isn't the best considering these missions can take you about an hour and a half to complete. But then there's the first time bonuses. When you complete the first 5 missions for the first time, each one is going to pay you $50,000 once you load back into free mode. That comes out to $250,000. Wow, I know how to do math. And then the 6th and final first dose mission is going to pay you $250,000. When I added all that up, plus the little bit of money you make directly from the missions, I made approximately $582,780. Now that's pretty good for an hour and a half of work. The second part of this money method are the last dose missions. You're going to start these up the same way you started up the last 5 first dose missions. Shortly after completing the first dose missions, Dax is going to call you back to the free shop. And of course, just go back to that same D on your map by the free shop to start up the first of 5 last dose missions. These missions have a pretty similar vibe to the first dose missions. The story just gets a little crazier if you even invested in them like I was while playing. But just once again, make sure you're stocked up on plenty of ammo, body armor, and snacks before starting them up because they are pretty combat oriented. And I can more than guarantee you went through all your snacks and armor by the first or second first dose mission. As for the payout for these missions, I made $76,000 directly from all 5 of them. But then there's the first time bonus to consider as well. For all 5 of these missions, you're going to be paid $100,000 once you load back into free mode, which comes out to $500,000. That plus the initial payouts directly from the missions comes out to a total of $576,000. But now, if we add up the total for the payouts from both the first dose missions and the last dose missions, we made a total of $1,158,780. That is some really good money for a beginner to make, especially since you don't have to purchase anything beforehand. And that's not even the end of it. Not only are you going to be making all that money from completing these missions, but there's 2 bonus gifts that you'll be rewarded for doing these. Upon completing all 6 of the first dose missions, you're going to be given the MTL Brigade 6x6, which is an amazing vehicle for beginners in GTA Online. This vehicle is an absolute unit, taking up to 48 rockets before being blown up, which is insane. It also has bullet resistant windows on it, and you can even add a ramp on the front that does a pretty badass job of clearing the way for you. If you're riding around in free mode in this thing, it's going to be really difficult for someone to take you out, so this is definitely a must-have for beginners in GTA Online. Normally, you'd have to pay $750,000 for this vehicle over on Warstock, but why pay for it when you can earn it completely for free in about an hour and a half? Instead of spending that hard-earned money on buying the vehicle, why not invest in an upgrade that can make you millions of dollars, which brings us to my next point, which is that for $750,000, you can turn the Brigade 6x6 into an acid lab on wheels. The acid lab is currently one of the best businesses in all of GTA Online, especially for beginners because it's so easy to start up and manage, and when it's fully upgraded, it can make you up to around $500,000 when selling in a public lobby. I've actually got a guide covering everything you need to know about the acid lab business, from setting it up to learning how to make the most money with it, so if you're interested in that, I'll have it on screen right now and linked in the description down below. Moving on to the other bonus gift, for completing all 5 of the last dose missions, you're going to be rewarded with the Ocelot Virtue. This is a really fast electric supercar in GTA Online with some pretty solid handling, but other than just being a really fast car, you have the option to add a Money Tech to it once you get an agency down the line, which makes this car even more worth it. If you have no idea what a Money Tech is, it's basically defensive upgrades you can add to your vehicle. One of them is the missile lock-on jammer, which when added to a vehicle prevents anyone locking onto it with rockets. And then there's also armor plating that'll help protect your vehicle from explosives, bullets, and anyone just trying to ruin your day, honestly. So once you have enough for an agency, make sure you get the vehicle workshop upgrade with it because a Money Tech is definitely worth it. Anyway, the Ocelot Virtue costs nearly $3 million over on Legendary Motorsports. That's a whole lot of money, especially if you're brand new to the game. So why spend that much money on a vehicle when you can just earn it in about an hour and a half? Speaking of money, if you're interested in making even more of it, I just dropped a beginner's money guide recently, which I highly recommend checking out. It goes over a bunch of other money methods within GTA Online that can help you make money fast as a low level. So if you're planning on investing in an agency to add some Amani Tech to your brand new Ocelot Virtue, you're definitely going to want to click on the video on screen right now.